Disclaimer. To the Pharisees and Karens out there,
How dare you!
all guests on this show do not reflect the opinions of the host. The purpose of this show is to have interesting conversations, stretch our minds, and grow.
Not what we want!
If you are looking for an echo chamber, viewer and listener discretion
is advised.
You talk about extreme.
What is happening and what is up? Hold out your glass, because we're about to fill it up.
Join us as we travel and explore the vast unknown. It's a hero's journey with dragons to slay, damsels to save, and innumerable treasures to hoard. Torches high.
Look at it from a different perspective.
Man, thank you for having me back, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's good to have you back on. Sorry for all the little hiccups in the beginning there, but super excited, man, to have you on. You've been busy, dude. You've been busy. You've been jumping around on a lot of shows, going over, your book. Tell us a little bit about it and where the audience can find you.
Yeah, man. I always go too hard, it's like go hard or go home. I never go home. I finished the book, so I was like, hey man, I'll just start going out on all these shows and kind of promote the book. And I can handle, 2 or 3 recordings a day, 3 or 4 days a week. Yeah, I'll just get it over with. Oh, it about killed me. I'm winding down now.
Right. It'll
I
run
ain't
you
as
down
young as I used to be. 40 now, man.
It's crazy, I mean, the amount of work you put into things, especially having, a 9-to-5 job, right? Like pretty much all of us. It is a lot of work, man. I give a lot of credit to you, and I have a lot of respect for what you do and all the hours and editing and, just content creating, right? In general, it takes a lot out of you, and it's awesome, man. Your book is awesome as well. I've read it about 1.5 times, if that makes any sense. But it's a fun read, folks. It's there's a lot of interesting takes in it as well. I really enjoy how you kind of created a foundation, at first, and then you came in with the final act, which I love books that kind of build you up for that, right? So what was it like, what was the journey like writing it? What was that like?
Honestly, it was weird, but of course I have nothing to judge it by. It's my first one, but I started finding all this cool stuff, and I just thought it would be a cool podcast at first. So I reached out to my buddy Bo Kennedy from the Bump podcast, and was like, "Hey man, I found this, and this is like the first few little things that I found." And I was like, "I think it'd be a pretty cool podcast. You want to, talk about it?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, man, that'd be awesome. What do you want to call the show?" And I was like, I don't know. Let me think about it." And he come back. He's like, "I know what I'd call it. I'd call it the Epic of Esau," because I was making correlations with the Epic of Gilgamesh at that point in the beginning.
Right.
And I was like, hell yeah, dude, that's awesome. Run with that. And
pretty sick title. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I was thinking about it earlier.
so,
It's a great book title.
Yeah, I definitely couldn't take credit for it, but and the show just blew up, man. And it was honestly like in November. And Bo's been podcasting for like 5 or 6 years. He's built a good following. And it was funny, like around I think it has to be in January because it's at the start of the new year. But he reached out to me. He's like, "Hey man, I just got my Wrapped stats from Spotify." He said, "You're not going to believe this." He said, "Your episode was only like 2-3 months into the year." He said, "But it made my top 5 for the year in downloads." I was like, "Oh, dude, that's awesome."
Dang.
And I had all kinds of people reaching out, like, "Hey, dude, you should write a book. Hey, dude, you should write a book." And I just had so many people reach out and talk about how fascinating that show was and how I should do a book. So I was like, "Oh, hell, I'll try to write a book. I've always wanted to." And honestly, the first sit down, I mean, I plowed through like 6 chapters in
Really?
one sitting.
Wow.
I mean, it was
Oh,
just
you were in the
crazy.
zone, dude.
Yeah.
Dang.
You were locked in.
And then after that, it's like, it just like,
Yeah.
I hit like a writer's block or just lost inspiration. And then, so
Yeah.
I would find something cool. I'd write a chapter. A couple weeks would go by, I'd write another chapter. And then it strung out. And I started doing shows talking to people about the stuff I was finding, kind of like in live time as I was finding this stuff. And it strung out for just a little shy of 2 years to get it all finished. But like I said, the last few months of this past year, I told myself, I got a couple weeks off from work for Christmas break. I've been going around for the past year talking about this book, and everybody's asking me, when's it coming? When's it coming? I was like, I have to just focus and get this thing done, man. So that's what I did. Just my Christmas break that I had 2 weeks off work, I just pounded the rest of it out.
Right. Folks, if you're not familiar, Doc Brown, he's probably one of the main proponents for like talking about Bigfoot in the Bible and making some connections there. What's that like? Have you had any like backlash or anything like that, or anyone kind of trying to tell you you're wrong or this or that? You know how the church is, so it's tough. I just wanted to see what you've interacted with.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I've had some people that are open-minded and willing to entertain new ideas and new thoughts, that really praise the book and say, like when you go to Amazon and look at my reviews, which the book's done awesome. And that's one thing I want to say. God's blessed that thing, because I'm a nobody, a small podcast, never wrote a book. And I told myself, I'm like, if I sell 100 copies, that's my goal. If I sell 100 copies, dude, I would be tickled pink. I'd be happy with that. I sold 100 copies within the first week.
Oh, wow.
But so it's working on 500 now.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah. So, but by reviews, you encourage everybody that buys it to give a review. Most people don't, but I'm guilty of that myself. But there's like, last time I looked, there was like maybe 15 or 18 reviews, but a large majority of them that I noticed says, if basically along this lines, if you are comfortable in your theology and you think you got the answers and you got it figured out, don't read this book. You're not going to enjoy this book. But if you are open-minded, if you're open-minded and you're willing to entertain new ideas and have yourself stretched and learn new things, and so even one person said, if you're ready to hold the skeleton key to unlock the rest of Scripture and realize how little you know, you're going to thoroughly enjoy this book.
Yeah. No, those are great comments.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I was happy with that, but I've had a lot of people push back.
Of
course, the Bigfoot community.
I know.
Guys, they're like, no, it's physical. You're insinuating that it's spiritual.
It's both.
Yeah, exactly. And then, and of course, I've had some, really closed-minded Christians, say, oh, that's laughable. That was hyperbole. That was poetic language, and things like that. But honestly, the most pushback that I've gotten in being called a heretic and getting so people tore up is one chapter. That's a 15-chapter book, but I have one chapter on the serpent seed. And that, boy, I don't know what it is,
Yeah, they're gonna get
but
mad.
that is a hot button topic that gets people tore to pieces.
It really does.
I'm glad you said something, because people watching right now, obviously, right, our followers and stuff, that we got a lot of backlash when we had on Joy Pugh, right, and we were getting into that serpent seed theory, which I do want to touch on it later on, and it's something that's outside of an echo chamber. It's something that's outside of, the normal traditions of the elongated amounts of teaching from just generation to generation.
In the modern church, though, if you go back and you look at all the ancient writings, that they all point to that. We can debate whether it's real or not, and I say that even in the book. You've read it. I say we can debate all day long if this is real or not.
Right.
If it's physical or if it's spiritual, but we cannot debate that was the beliefs and the thoughts of the people of that time.
And that's important, man. And what's funny? I saw a video. Wes Huff even talked about it on on someone's show. big show. But the whole main point of his conversation with the guy is that, the Jews did believe in these supernatural things, and that's why I really wish I could just take my Bible, go back in time, and just kind of flip through the pages a little bit with Paul and be like, hey, dude, interpret, or I need perspective now, something like that. I don't know.
Well, I mean, it says even back then too, with the whole serpent seed thing, I tend to believe beguiled, it had some sexual nature to it if you break it down. And so,
right.
It's not some Sunday school, oh, kids, yeah, Adam and Eve ate an apple.
I love how you went through your book, man. And kind of where I'd like to start is going through the cultural connections with Bigfoot in our society today, in our world. And the thing you kind of talk about is the wild man. Just kind of open that up for us. And, it's a fun thing to get into because it's massively, covered throughout the whole world. So,
and honestly, man, I'm glad and thankful that you said, you started off and you laid a foundation and all that, because honestly, that was my intention. I didn't want to assume that people knew the backstory of Bigfoot. And with that, the people that are not big Bigfoot enthusiasts, I wanted to give them kind of a crash course and show them that these other ancient traditions and, quote unquote mythos and stories and legends talk about this wild man. And if we take the context of that wild man, all the descripting factors, what it does, all the stories, and I wanted to stack them beside our modern term, Bigfoot, and show them that this is the same thing. This is the same entity or creature. And so I wanted to lay that foundation and build up this house from the bottom. I was never a real big Bigfoot enthusiast. I had the general 30,000 foot view of what Bigfoot was and things like that. So I was not one of these guys that was well versed in Bigfoot and heard all the testimonies and stories and listened to the Bigfoot podcasts and read all the literature, and I was not one of those guys. So this was kind of a learning experience for me as well. But I went through, because my big thing that I love doing, anybody that follows my shows and stuff knows that I love comparative mythology. I'm a firm believer. If you see the same type of story throughout the world, throughout time, throughout culture, I'm not a coincidence theorist. There has to be some kind of truth rooted into those stories, or why else did it transcend the globe and time and all these cultures?
Right.
Because there has to be something to it.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I found digging through this. But it was called by many different names. Of course, it's going through many different times, many different cultures and tongues and cultural lenses. So I just started looking for common themes. I started looking for wild men or hairy men or beasts, and things like that match these descripting factors. And I did. I found it everywhere. When you go to China, they called it the urine. It was this hairy monster, beast creature that was humanoid and was intelligent and roamed the woods, and people had encounters with it, and it would sometimes it was benevolent, sometimes it was evil, and it would raid people's houses and villages and take their animals and eat their animals and livestock. When you go into Europe, they called it the woodwose, or the wild man.
Right.
And the same thing. They were covered in hair. They lived out into the woods and the wilderness. They would raid towns, steal livestock, kill livestock, and even abduct women and rape women. And they would give birth to these little hairy beasts. And you go to the Americas, you have Bigfoot. That's the modern term. The Native Americans called it Ishtipapa and all these other different names. And I even list that in the book. I have like a huge list of just all these different names that just the natives called it.
Yeah, orange-haired man. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you have the harried, six-fingered giant legends of the Native Americans, and they called them the Sitika. They were huge giants covered in hair, red hair, with six fingers and 6 toes. So
they used to build like little pits too for them. Like they used to go after them, and then have spike pits, like antagonize it, and then have them go and fall on that, and that's how they would kill them.
Yeah,
that's crazy. I even think like the Celts and the Druids, right? Is there traditions with that too? What's the tradition where they celebrate in the street? It's almost like a parade of like demonic Bigfoot.
Oh, I know, dude, for real.
Yeah, when you go into Sardinia, the island of Sardinia during the winter solstice, they have this thing, and they call these hairy beasts the Methones or the Methanes. And these guys dress up. They cover themselves in black goat's fur. And they dance and parade through the town with hundreds of copper bells strapped to their backs. And while they do this, they chase the women. And then also you go up into Europe, you have Krampus.
Yeah.
He's this hairy beast covered in hair, and he abducts children. And then even a lot of the Christmas cards and stuff you see, he's also sexually promiscuous, like a lot of these wild men stories and wild men fertility gods. There's lots of Christmas cards that you find. They're like erotic in nature, where Krampus not only comes in to discipline the bad children, he'll discipline the bad women too. And it shows women waiting up in lingerie while their husband's at work on the night shift, waiting for Krampus. And he'll be pulling out his whip, and she's looking like she's really enjoying it. You know
oh man, it is wild, all the traditions and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, it seems to be a phenomenon that's been going on for a very long time.
Yeah, and I think that's what it is. You have this feral race of giants, and like anything, DNA doesn't get stronger with time. It dissipates, and you have interbreeding, and this gene is probably alive and well through humanity today. It's become so weak that it doesn't manifest in hair like it used to. It's not as strong.
Right.
And when you go to the book of Enoch, it says that these giants, these Nephilim, when they die, their spirits are cursed to be demons and wander the earth until the end of time, until judgment. So if these, Bigfoot, wild men, hairy, feral giants, when they die, their spirits remain. And so would they not choose a familiar form?
True.
And manifest? And that's what we're seeing, these, spiritual entities phasing in and out of reality through portals. And the thing was too is when you go into the biblical account, one of the races born through this union of Esau with these giants, he birthed Amalek, and Amalek births the Amalekite race. You break into the etymology of that name, that means the blood lickers. And when you get into Eleazar and you get into the writings of Rashi, these Jewish rabbis and their writings, they talk about that they were known sorcerers.
Oh, wow.
So you have that aspect too. They're phasing in and out of reality, and that's why God told his people, don't leave anyone alive. Kill every man, woman, and child. And in Rashi's writings it says because they were known sorcerers. They were known shape shifters. He uses that word in his writings. Wow, they were known shape shifters and would shift into animals to evade capture. Yep. And that's why God said, kill every man, woman, child, and animal.
Like? That sounds like a skinwalker.
Yeah, of course. And then the thing is, too, people get upset. They're like, well, why did God back in those days kill, the women, men, and children, and blah, blah, blah. That's why, because they weren't human, period, anymore. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? There's Nephilim bloodlines mixed with people who, are skinwalkers now.
Absolutely. I agree. I agree, man. the book is for everyone, you know.
Yeah.
Like it's not just, you know, for Christians. I think it's a way to help Christians kind of you know, be or become aware that, wow, you know, I thought I knew what scriptures were talking about, you know. It kind of it opens up that light to getting you to want to dig deeper in the Bible, getting you to want to kind of make some connections that are out there in the world. And, you know, it'll help
and
us.
It's a skull key, man, because it was a learning experience for me as I was going through it. It was a journey for myself. And once I found this story, this narrative, this meta narrative, interlayered into this Bible of ours, it answered so many ambiguous questions that I had. And I'm a guy that has read the Bible front to back many times throughout my whole life. I've read the ancient biblical text. I mean, I'm constantly in Logos Bible software, breaking into the Hebrew. I mean, I ain't saying I'm anybody special, but I'm a nerd. I'm a Bible nerd. And there was all kinds of stuff that just left me scratching my head that I was like, man, why? Why is that? That don't make sense. I mean, why would they just put that there and just leave that there? That makes no sense. But once I found this stuff, man, it was the skeleton key that unlocked it, and it tied everything in hand in glove. So 90% of the stuff that I thought was just ambiguous, didn't make any sense or left me confused, it answered all of that and tied up so many loose ends, and it completed this, what in my mind was kind of a fractured story, and made it flow like water, man, from front to back.
Oh yeah. It definitely helps with like your apologetics.
Yeah.
You know, like it helped me. I mean, I never would have had an answer for like what Taylor was talking about, you know, like the whole genocide claims, right, on God. But it's important to want to figure out the answers to these questions.
Yeah, and it's crazy because what they teach us in, you know, basic church nowadays, like so many Christians are like way down here, and we should be knowing way more. Some witches and warlocks know more than we do on stuff, and that's not okay, man. Like, you know, like I think a lot of Christians don't want to be open-minded. Unfortunately, I feel like they have a one-track mind. It's either black or white. There is no in between. We can't be like that, especially when we got the adversary, the devil, you know, looking to kill, steal, and destroy, and just look for any avenue, you know, because ignorance is not bliss, man. You know, just because you don't know the stuff going on, it's just like, you know, just because you don't know a law doesn't mean you can claim ignorance. And that's how it is in the spirit realm, you know. So we have to be vigilant. We have to be, you know, be watchful as watchmen and warn the people. And this is exactly what God has called you to do, I believe, with your book. And I believe we're coming into a time where we're living that, you know, this information is becoming out there. The truth will be revealed, and it's out there, man. Like, so people can't claim ignorance no more. We got all this technology out here, and people can't be blinded now. You know, we have to study to show thyself approved and do the homework. And, you know, I believe your book is like a huge stepping stone for Christians to kind of be like, yo, just kind of step back and look at it for what it is. And that makes sense.
Certainly,
You know?
it certainly makes it more interesting than what everybody's been told. And speaking on ignorance, can you go, Doc, can you go over the verse where it talks about like Esau being born? What does it say exactly?
Yeah, Esau, that's in Genesis 25:25, the birth. And it says the first one came out red, covered in hair from head to toe, like a hairy cloak. His name was Esau. The thing is like you have multi-layered stuff. You know, just like I said, it's never this or that. It's usually this and that. And Scripture's like an onion. It's got multi-layers.
Like
do I think the story of Esau and Jacob was historically true? I think so.
Yeah.
But do I think there is also a meta or micro narrative? Oh yeah, I believe that 100%.
What do you mean by that?
When we,
That's
like
like
it's just, yeah, like you have layers within layers, stories within stories.
Okay, yeah.
Bingo.
There's more to
I
it.
think, yeah, so I mean, something might be historically true, but when the writer is writing it, they add these little details and caveats to pull you back to another story that's similar and shows you a narrative within a narrative to connect everything in a seamless line and to draw your mind back to other things. And some scholars call this like the law of first mention. They'll use certain words to draw your mind back to certain events. That way you make a connection and like, oh, okay, that's connected to this in a meta narrative, you know?
Right.
So like when you have the cursing in the garden, he said, I will put enmity between her seed and thy seed. He was talking to her and the serpent. They both will have a seed. They will be at enmity with one another. Then what does he say? One will bruise one's head and the other will bruise the other's heel.
Right.
This is in the book of Genesis.
And even in that
a few
part
chapters.
Yeah.
And I was just going to say, just a few chapters later, what happens? This is in the same book, just a few chapters later.
Right.
Esau's born. The first one comes out red, covered in hair from head to toe like a hairy cloak.
Bigfoot.
And then the second comes out clutching the heel.
Mm.
And the verse before that, the angel of the Lord comes to Rebekah and says, 2 nations, 2 peoples are within your womb, and they struggle together within you. There's enmity between the 2.
Wow.
Right.
One will be stronger than the other,
Yep.
but the younger will rule over the older. So when Esau was born, his foot pushing on Jacob's head, bruising the head, and Jacob reaching up, clutching and bruising the heel. So it is a complete inversion and flip of the prophecy and curse given into the garden.
Wow.
And I speculate the book, and I say it's a speculation. If Esau was a serpent seed, in which all the ancient writings point to that, they say he was born with a serpent's brand and marking, that his guardian angel was Samael, the viper of God, the angel of death, that he reached in and made sure his seed come out first, because that way he would get the birthright and be the ruler, the next in line. So the angel of the Lord comes and warns Rebekah and says, hey, I know it's customary for the firstborn to get the birthright, but in this case, the younger is going to get the birthright, because we know the devil's going to go in there and try to flip the prophecy from the garden of Genesis 3:15 on its head. Right. So Rebekah, it's your duty to make sure you do everything in your power that the chosen seed is the one that rules.
Right. And I think that's why she made such an effort, right?
Yes.
To tell Jacob, hey, you got to get this birthright. Like, this is not going to be good. I've screwed up. It's almost like she was, stressed and pressured. And you also talk about it in your book where you mention Rebekah and her side of her family, right? And the paganism and, who they pray to and stuff. Just kind of like dig into that for us a little bit.
Okay. And I'll say this outright too, because I know some people be like, you're making stuff up. It don't say nothing like that. And I, in the book, I tell you, if I'm speculating or giving you a hypothesis, I say, hey, this is my opinion. This is pure speculation. But here's the verse, copy and paste for you to read. You don't even have to look it up. I do the legwork for you, or at least try to, and show you. This says this, and this says this, and that forms my opinion here like this. So, I mean, I try to tell people when I'm speculating. But when you read Rebekah and her family history and story in the book of Genesis, in your 66-book canon, it says that when she was acquired, Eleazar, the cupbearer, the servant of Abraham, was sent to the land of Haran to acquire a wife for his son. So Eleazar goes to Haran and finds Rebekah by the well. They bring him home and says, my master son is coming of age. I'm looking for a wife. And I was told to come here to the land of his father's people to acquire a wife. And he serves the Lord Yahweh. Basically, I'm paraphrasing here, but we're interested in your daughter. I think your daughter would be a good match. Well, her father replies in Genesis. He says, this Yahweh you speak of, I can neither speak good nor evil. So that shows you they didn't even know who Yahweh was.
Right.
They served other gods there.
Right.
And when you go into the history and the archaeology of the land of Haran, they served many gods, but they were really big into fertility gods and fertility worship. And one of those gods that was well known and well worshipped was Samhain. But Samhain is not the exception, he's the rule. Like I said, when you find these common themes, they're universal. When you look at these fertility gods, 8 out of 10 were wild men.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
They were covered in hair from head
Tarzan.
to toe.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yep.
You look at Pan. You look at Faunus. You look at, I mean, I could go on all day. All these different gods were
the
fertility
pagan-
gods covered in hair.
Yeah, the pagan gods are. I mean, the pagans are huge on worshiping like fertility gods of all types. You know, like Ishtar and all these other. You know, there's like I noticed there's like a male and a female version too. I don't know. It's just crazy because every pagan god is almost related to a fertility god of some sort. It's
Interesting.
wild.
It's kind of funny. Doesn't pagan just mean heathen? In like
Yeah,
Latinism?
it means anything anti-god, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we can kind of like draw conclusions that it's possible with Rebecca
That they worship this god in her house.
Right. And you
In
think,
the Epic of Gilgamesh, this was from that same land of Haran, right?
Oh.
And Enkidu, who in my opinion is another version, same person, same story, just kind of got their own spin to it, of Esau. This Enkidu was covered in hair from head to toe. He was a wild man of the field. He was known as a mighty hunter.
Wow.
I mean, everything matches up, but it says that when he was made, it says specifically that he was created as Gilgamesh's equal, the yin and yang, nature versus civilization, basically. And it says that Enkidu was created in the image of Samhain.
It's
And
like
Sam
they take
Quain-
the Bible story.
Yeah, and Samhain was covered in hair, and it said that it was matted, and he was the god of the cattle. So when Eleazar goes to this same land, mentions their god, the father of Rebecca says, I can speak neither good nor evil of this god, but hey, you got a pretty good dowry, and this guy got some money, and looks like my daughter's going to be well took care of. Yeah, you have my blessing. And then she goes, and it says that she takes her handmaiden with her. So she was already a fully grown adulthood woman of mating age, breeding age, and was raised in this house that worshipped all these fertility gods, and Samhain, these hairy fertility gods, being amongst them. And then she comes into the house of Abraham and is presented as a husband to Isaac. So, and I said, now that's what we know. That's in the scriptures, that's in the archaeology, that's in the history. Now, where I speculate, because everybody wants to ask, well, how did Esau come out looking like that? Did she fool around with an angel or a fallen angel, or what happened here? And it doesn't come right out and say. So we have to put 2 and 2 together and do some speculation and some educated guesses. And that's what I do here. I look and I see there's a number 2 and there's a blank, and then we have a 4. I got to figure out what that other number is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So by doing that, I speculate. I'm like, well, did she breed with Satan or a fallen angel physically? That's one possibility. Was this a spiritual conception, like the conception of Jesus, where the spirit or whatever hovered over and there's, some kind of spiritual thing? Could she have, prayed to a fertility god that she knew and grew up with to bless her womb, and this is what happened? That's another possibility. But that's the one that I think, and that I went with and said, I believe that's how this happened, because when you go back to the biblical text, It says that Rebekah was getting old in age and was barren. She couldn't have a child. This was the number one thing a woman was supposed to do in this ancient times. Look at the story of Abraham. Sarah was getting old in age, couldn't produce him an heir. She was freaking out. What'd she do? She gave her handmaiden, Hagar, to Abraham, and Ishmael was a product. Ishmael was the firstborn. He was supposed to get the birthright. Well, what happens? God miraculously opens the womb of Sarah, and she conceives Isaac. So Ishmael is kicked out of the family, screwed out of his birthright, and it was given to the younger son. We have the same thing happening here with Esau. A woman that was barren, in my opinion, here's where I speculate, freaked out, thought she was about to be cast out, and another woman was going to come in to take her place to produce an heir. A woman in that position would have been greatly desperate, in my opinion.
Right.
So is it out of the question to think that this woman in her desperate need would pray to a familiar God that she grew up sacrificing to, praying to, worshiping, that fertility God that was covered in hair from head to toe bless her womb, and that was the product of Esau. That's why Esau come out covered in hair from head to toe looking just like these fertility gods. Or maybe even unbeknownst to her. And I even throw this out. This could be another alternative if you don't want to taint the legacy of Rebekah. Maybe unbeknownst to her, her handmaiden made a sacrifice and prayer to this fertility god to bless Rebekah's womb.
Right.
You know, like I said, I mean, we know we have a 2, we have a blank, and we have a 4.
Right.
How do we get to the 4? And that, we have to be honest and try to figure these things out.
Yeah, it's so it fascinates me how this scenario completely mirrors what took place in the garden as far as Cain and Abel. I mean, it's like almost
it's another meta narrative.
It's almost so symmetrical, right? And who knows? Maybe this was like the time in history where there was a battle over, the birthright. Spiritually, right? You've got this move, counter move, right? Satan, God, all this stuff going on. A lot of things going on that we can't see. And it makes me think, God obviously made the ultimate counter move, right? With Jacob. What's your view on with God cursing, these certain people in the Bible? Why do you think kind of God is? Because the Gnostics can look at that and go, well, he's the bad guy for doing that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It should be the other way around. And, what's your kind of view with that? Curious.
And see, I think that is, once again, the meta narrative. It's the little stories in the Bible that is mirroring the big overall arching story that is our story, or his story,
right,
our story. Because if you look at the angels, they were his first creation, not us. When you go to the book of Job, when Job's questioning God and he finally gets fed up, and you remember he gives him that good old boy talking to, he says, where were you when I hung the stars? Where were you when I laid its foundations? Where were you when I done this and done that? Can you put a hook in Leviathan's nose? Chaos. Can you grab chaos by the nose and make it your plaything? You are a nobody. Who are you to question me? Where were you? And then during all that, he says, and he's talking about creation, he says, and where were you when I hung the stars, did this, did that? He said, and the morning stars, the sons of God, sang for joy at the sight of creation. So that shows you these angels, these angelic hosts, this divine council was there and witnessed creation. It says it right there. So when God is creating mankind, he says, let us make man in our image. I don't think that he's talking to himself. A lot of people want to take the aspect that this is the Trinity. He's talking to the other aspects of himself. No, I think he's talking to the angelic host, because anytime you see angels in the Bible, they look just like us. They eat, they drink, they sleep. They have a physicality to them.
Right.
Some of them even come down and bred with our women.
Right.
I think that is the us and our that God is talking about in that creation story. So they are, if you look at it in a family aspect, because God is the Father, we are a family. That is our elder brothers. We are the younger brother. Throughout all the meta-narratives of the Bible, what does God do? He always chooses the younger brother, when the older brother should get the birthright.
Wow. And he chooses us
Versus the
over
angels.
the angels.
Yeah, we get a second
Don't you
chance.
know
They
ye
don't.
will judge the angels?
Dude.
That's why they're
Very
mad
good
at us,
point.
a lot of them, too.
That
They don't-
is the birthright and seed war.
Right. Wow.
And it makes a lot of sense with, like, when we go back to talking about why can't you catch Bigfoot on the cam, because it's spiritual and it's physical. Just like the angels, you can't see them because it's spiritual and it's physical.
Yeah.
This whole meta-narrative, micro-narrative that you see, it's throughout all the Bible, guys. It's throughout all the parables and stories. Do I think that some of these are they historical? Yeah. But it's an onion. Once again, there's so many layers. There's meta-narratives all through that connect to the huge overarching narrative. Look at the parable of the prodigal son. Okay, what happens? An eldest son that was supposed to get the birthright. Then you have a younger son that wants his inheritance now. Goes off, rolls in the pig filth, thinks that he's never going to be accepted back. But the father accepts him back with open arms, puts a signet ring of authority back on him. And what happens? The elder brother is pissed. He's jealous. And what does he say? I've been here the whole time. I've never left you. I've done what I'm supposed to do. This other brother has failed repeatedly, embarrassed our family name, rolled in pig excrement. But not only do you accept him back, you put a signet of authority, put a ring back on his finger, and hold this huge banquet and party and celebration. You've never had a party or celebration for me. Where's my party? Tell me that is not, that with this new glasses, that if you didn't have this viewpoint that I just told you about earlier, tell me you don't see it now. That is the angelic beings, our elder brothers, and we are the younger brother who wanted our inheritance now, squandered it, and is accepted away in a signet ring of authority placed back on our finger. And they're mad. Tell me you don't see this same narrative with the parable of the wheat and the tares. What happens in that story? He says, a landowner sown good seed and walked away, and in his absence, the adversary sown his seed. And the workers come and say, Father, did you not sow good seed? But yea, tares grow amongst the wheat. And he said, the enemy has done this, and the tares are of him. Well, should we tear up the tares? No. Lest you tear up the wheat in pulling up the tares. No, let the tares grow amongst the wheat, and at harvest we will pull them all up and separate the wheat from the tares
Judgment
and throw
Day.
the tares in the fire.
Yep, Judgment
Right.
Day.
Right.
The same parables retold, but it's with sheep and goats. What animal is killed and wrapped around them like a cloak to pretend they were Esau?
Goat.
A goat.
Oh, wow.
And go up,
We have-
represents the Baphomet, too. It's crazy.
And we have the same parable with the good tenant. What happens with the good tenant parable that Jesus told? A landowner has a piece of land. He rents it to a farmer, and they agree that they will look over the land, and come harvest time, the landowner would get the first fruits. Well, come harvest time, he sends his messenger. Okay, for those that are not following here, the landowner, God, the land, earth, the farmers that look over the land, this is the angels, the watchers, that was given dominion at the Tower of Babel. And who is the first fruits and the harvest that's being growing? It's us. Well, the prophets are the messenger. When the first messengers get sent, what do? They kill the messenger. What did they do? They killed the prophets.
Right.
And then he sent another messenger. They killed that messenger too. Then finally he says, I will send my son. They will not kill my son.
Oh, wow.
So he sends the son, and they say, we will kill the son. He will know we mean business, and the land will be ours. That's Jesus, folks.
Right.
This is the same, all these stories, all these parables of the family, the birthright, the older brother, the younger brother. It is all flowing through it.
Yep.
That is so wild.
Well said.
The puzzle pieces are coming.
I love it.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, I love seeing the Bible this way. There's something that gives me confirmation. There's something that I'm locked into it. A lot of people will say that the other way to look at those parables is basically saved and unsaved, right? And I don't. It's context, right? Like the whole Bible is all one huge, gigantic story, and there is a generalized context behind the whole thing from beginning to end. And to me, it only makes complete sense when you're getting into these parables in the way we're talking about them right now. So it's fascinating, man, and it plays a lot into like our supernatural reality today. I mean, if the end days talk about as in the days of Noah, we're kind of like starting to see in our day and age like that, with genetics and all this kind of what I think is unethical, like experimentation. It's weird, man. Things that we were thought impossible, are becoming possible.
What they told us with mythology is actually real, man. That's the.
It happened in such a short amount of time too, which makes me think like, man, there's purpose. There's an agenda going on here, right? It's that fallen angel agenda.
Hey, well, yeah, thanks, guys. Like I said, I don't want to play favorites, but it's probably been one of my favorite conversations.
Oh yeah.
But definitely appreciate what you guys do, and you even inspired me. When I get notifications that you guys are live, I try to tune in if I ain't doing something, and you inspired me to get some really festive wardrobe.
I love it.
I started getting me some crazy hats myself. My Nephilim giant skull was rocking my toilet paper roll hat.
Nice.
No, I love it.
That was because of you guys.
I love it.
Nice.
I love it. I have way more tinfoil hats to like start making back here. And
Nice.
I've already been looking up like Star Wars helmets and stuff. It's crazy.
Oh yeah, bro.
It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. It's a problem. It's a problem.
Yeah, it gives you. Oh yeah, he's got the glasses now. Shoot.
Right?
Yeah.
He looks
He's
like
got the Prometheus lens.
Right. He almost looks like the guy from the movie The Watchmen.
I was thinking Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Oh yeah.
This is backcountry.
Right?
That's a great.
He's on the adrenochrome over there.
Right.
All these damn lizards.
That is awesome, man. That is awesome. Well,
Yeah, but thank you guys. I appreciate
that,
it, man. But yeah, anywhere you consume content, guys, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, all that good stuff. Just search up Prometheus Lens Podcast. The website's PrometheusLensPodcast.com. And the book, you find it exclusively on Amazon. You get the ebook for $10, the paperback for $20. And I ordered a large shipment of copies. So I have a large box of these on hand. If you want one, you can go to the website. I have details to like my PayPal and Venmo and stuff like that. If you want a signed copy, you can send me some money that way. Send me your address. I'll sign one and get it to you. And I actually have a lot of goodies now that other people didn't get. So it profits sometimes being late. But I got custom bookmarks like themed on the book and some stickers and stuff like that. So anytime you order a book directly from me, you'll get some extra goodies.
Awesome.
I know I asked you this last time, but is there any plans for an Audible book coming soon?
I've already recorded it.
What?
Honestly, because when I was editing the book, I was reading it to myself through
nice.
my mic.
Wow.
So I just have to go through and edit it and compress it. And
So you're
get
reading
all
it?
Nice. Yeah.
Oh, dude, that's awesome, man. That's so cool.
Nice.
Yeah, I can't afford to pay nobody, brother. I'm working, man.
Yeah, I hear you, dude. I hear you.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So yeah, your website will be in the description, along with your YouTube channel and an Amazon link, for the book, man. But
Thank you, man.
appreciate you again, dude. I can't say it enough, man. But Taylor's gonna break us out in a little prayer here, and then we're gonna move over into the next segment.
Yeah.
All right. Father God, thank you that we could have this podcast tonight and that we could get some wisdom from Doc Brown here. And I just thank you that we're able to just kind of pick apart everything and kind of put the puzzle pieces together of, you know, what you're trying to tell us and the world, and just expose evil for what it is. And I just pray that, you know, we seek you above all things in these honestly last days that we're in, and that we will, you know, continue to have wisdom, discernment, and just as we go venture forward and pick apart these things. And in Jesus Christ I pray. Amen.
Amen, man.
Amen.
Amen. Justin, hope to see you again in the future. Folks, Doc Brown, everybody, go check him out.
Well, thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Torch is high, guys.
Torch is high, baby. Man, you know, it's always good having Doc on. Doc
Yeah.
Brown, everybody. Good guy. Awesome show. Awesome YouTube channel. I mean, awesome author. Everything. He's really like he's I feel like he's at the point in his life where he's just going hard on all of this stuff. The documentaries that he's got in the works. I'd love him to start working on a second book, to be honest with you. Maybe
Right.
get into the garments, man.
Oh, yeah.
Make a book on the garments, man. Oh, man. Pretty cool. Folks, his YouTube is in the title and in the description below. You can check it out there, too. He's got a website and all that other stuff. You can check out his book in the description below, too, as well. Man, he brought a bunch, you know, his book's just not all on Esau. It's kind of
Right.
like we talked in the episode. He built a great foundation. It was something that he wanted to do, to tie a bow on everything at some point, you know, with Esau, and to help you kind of like understand the perspective that he's coming from. We're gonna keep our journey strong, and you know, you'll see everyone still tuning in. You know, you'll see episodes Wednesday and Saturday. And we've been pretty consistent with that for the, I'd say past 6-7 weeks or so now. So we're on a good rhythm, and, you know, we'll drop some interesting stuff throughout the week if we have time.
If we have time.
But, if you haven't done so already, smash that subscribe button, like the show, share it with your friends, comment on the episode, please. And, you know, if you're not on YouTube, and you're on the audio side of things, check us out on Spreaker, Apple Podcast, and Spotify. You can find us pretty much on all things social media. And, you know, that's a wrap. Appreciate you, Justin, Doc Brown. Love you, buddy. And, folks, check out his book. Check out his material. And he gets a lot of cool guests on his show. So, but we appreciate you. We're going to see you next time. Peace and love, everyone.
See you.